So once you're set and ready, you can hit play on the first track, make sure it's set to loop, and then turn to your left and make your way down to your belly. And let's see if we can mimic what we were doing seated. So that starts with finding a level pelvis by tipping forward and tipping the pelvis back. And when I'm on my belly, I find it helpful to just visualize the relationship between my pelvis and my rib cage, trying to find that place where they're parallel to one another. And just like seated, there's just a little bit of brightness. There is a little bit of work. You feel slightly toned without being tight or gripping. And once you find that place, start to watch the breath flow, noticing that pressure building on the inhale. Maybe you can even start to witness that pelvic floor starting to push slightly down on the inhale. Try to feel what happens as you exhale. And we'll dramatize it a little bit by adding on our legs. So keep the pelvis neutral, but as you inhale, start to slide the feet a little bit wider, kind of like a snow angel. And then as you exhale, start to allow the feet to go back to where they are, and see if you can feel that drawing together of the legs and the gentle lift of the muscles at the base of the pelvis. Try it a few times. Welcome, Annapurna. So exciting to practice with you live. And the next part is optional, but if you're feeling a little extra space in the spine as the legs come together, it can be fun to start to add in a cobra spine as the legs come together, and then inhale, let the legs softly reach out as the spine comes down. And then the exhale, the movement is initiated in the legs, but as the deep core activates, perhaps you can effortlessly lengthen the spine forward, or even play with a little bit of side to side reaching. There's no rules here. And the next time you're lifted, pause there for a moment, drag the hands back so they're underneath your shoulders. Try to breathe smoothly so you're not holding your breath, and play with gently dragging the feet together as the spine sways from side to side, noticing a sense of how the work in the legs rises all the way up the spine. They're not separate, they're connected. And then slide the left hand out, push into the right hand so that you roll onto the left hand side. You can make any adjustments with the arm or the legs so you're comfortable here. And we'll take our gentle side body rocks and rolls to massage, connecting with the breath. And then let the movements get smaller and smaller, and start to straighten out the legs. If you have bent them, flex the feet and lift the top hand so it actually is a little bit harder to stay on your side. The top arm can go wherever you want it to, but notice how you kind of have to balance here. We've got a side lying balance. And use your inhale to start to hover the top leg just a little bit. You don't want the outer hip to get tired. And then exhale, just like we did on the belly, let the legs come together and use that sense of strength to lift through the spine. And then inhale, release down, hover the leg. And then exhale, try to feel that rising up of both upper diaphragm, pelvic diaphragm, and notice how you can use that to lightly lift the spine. Play with this a couple of times on your own, nice and easy. You don't want the legs to get really tired. And the next time you're lifted, pause there and just notice the work that's happening at your center and around your pelvis, and try to maintain it even as you set your head down. So it's like you're working a little extra hard. Bring your right hand to the pelvis. We don't want anything to move here except the right leg. Bend the right knee and start to actually bring the top hand. It's really hard to do this. Bring the top hand to the floor to stabilize, but start to circle the right knee without moving the pelvis, and it should feel like it's limiting your range of motion. Like you should feel like, oh, I thought I was more flexible than this, and I'm not moving very much. And that's okay. That means some of our stabilization muscles are turning on. You should feel whatever you're feeling. That's perfect. But notice if you're feeling the work of stabilization in the core as you're moving the leg. And that's the body preventing the pelvis from moving. Takes a lot of work. Bring the right knee in front of you, and without relaxing completely, start to soften so the right knee can slide along the yoga mat heading towards your belly, but you might not get all the way there depending on how open the hips are, so don't expect to be flat on the belly. The forehead can come down if that's comfortable, and then we're going to reverse that by pushing down into the left leg and slowly letting the thighs drop back together using the strength of the core. And then eventually you'll get to a stopping point with the legs, but the spine can start to open. The right hand will circle behind you if there's not something right there like there is for me. And then continue the circle with the arm, so the hand comes in front of you once again, and we'll repeat this a few times with the breath. So we'll inhale as the leg slides out, not going for mobility, trying to still feel how the legs are connected to one another. And then as you exhale, push down into the left leg. Let that help you slide the right knee back in, spiraling all the way open. Release any goal of getting the shoulder or arm to the floor. We don't want to over mobilize the spine. Let this be nice and easy. Repeat a few times on your own, as if your body's not a completely solid structure. You're just melting and flowing effortlessly. Not too much effort here as we just warm up. And the next time you start to slide towards the belly, let the right leg straighten out so that you can come onto the belly just as we were at the beginning of the sequence, and pause. The arms can do whatever is comfortable for you. And then we'll balance it out on the second side. So you'll be rolling away from me, but we're doing all the same movement. So drag the left hand back this time. Gently push into the left hand to roll onto the right side of the body. Bend the knees, soften the right side. You can relax for a moment, and then as you're ready, add in those gentle melting rocks. Forward and back, massaging out the foot, the calf, side of the thigh and hip, rib cage, shoulder, arm, hand, even the muscles on the side of the head, or at least the cranial fascia. And then flex the feet, straighten out the legs, bring some awareness to the orientation of your pelvis. So finding that neutral pelvis that we've been playing with, and then start to push down into the right leg and inhale to hover the top leg just a little bit. And then as you exhale, let the top leg lower. Notice that sense of the diaphragm pulling upward. See if you can use that to side bend the spine effortlessly. And pulse here a couple of times, inhaling to float the leg and release the head. And exhale for that upward moving action. So gentle, so subtle, but it helps the spine lengthen and effortlessly lift. And the next time the head lifts, pause there. Play with hovering the left hand so it's a little harder to balance, and then keep all that strength as you set the head down. set the hand down and bend the left knee going into the hip circles. Start really slow and small. It might be hard to feel at first whether the pelvis is steady, so you can even look at it or bring your hand there, though it makes it harder to balance. Actually, if you want to bring your hand there, you can just bend the bottom knee for stabilization. That's what I'm doing, and then I can feel that my pelvis is unmoving as my leg circles. And try to notice the work that is happening deep in the core to support you here. Notice any sense of limitation in your movement and be excited about that, because that's stability and we want that. Straighten the bottom leg, bring the left knee in front of you, keeping it bent, and bring the left hand in front of you. Slowly let the left knee slide open so you're heading towards your belly, though you might not make it all the way there, and that's fine. And then push down into the right leg and allow the left knee to slide back in. Once the hips stack, you can circle the left hand overhead and then behind you, peeling open. It's okay to let that left knee lift a little bit if that feels good. And then let's just play between those two positions, sliding the knee out. Doesn't matter how far it goes. Instead, try to feel a lot of support, like you can pause at any moment and have control. And then push into the bottom leg to slide everything back in so you can spiral open. Sink it to the breath however you want. I've been enjoying inhaling as the knee slides out, so I can use that exhale to feel how the legs interact with one another and integrate up into the core and the rest of the body. Take a couple more on your own. And the next time the leg is starting to slide out, make your way gently back onto the belly, trying to control every moment so you have a sense of support and stability. And then once you make it to the belly, legs are straight back, and just release completely so everything is nice and relaxed. You can do anything you want with your arms. Sometimes it's nice to stack hands and let the elbows come wide to make this more of a restful position. And let's come back to our breath. And try to feel not just the belly pressing into the mat, but also the back of the body expanding evenly. And how that gently pushes down on the base of the pelvis. And how the reverse happens as you exhale. It's almost like a vacuum is created that allows the base of the pelvis to gently lift towards the navel. And let's do one last round of our cobra pose from the beginning of class. So stabilize the pelvis. Find that neutral. That takes a little bit of work. Use your inhale to slide the feet wide. And then as you exhale, drag the feet together. And if it feels good, allow the spine to lengthen and lift. The hands can slide back or stay where they are. It really doesn't matter. This is more about the legs and the spine. Take a few pulses here, trying to feel how the work and movement of the legs is what allows you to wake up support along the spine. And the next time you're up, you can take a couple of gentle sways with the spine. It's a great test to make sure you haven't gone too deep into the back bend. If this feels hard or too sticky, come a little bit lower down and find a sense of ease and space. And then make your way back to center, push into the hands, and send the hips back to the heels, coming into Bhaktasana, or a comfortable resting pose. If Bhaktasana isn't comfortable, sometimes cat pose is a nice way to release the spine.